You also need to help your athletes understand that it's important for them to have credibility with their teammates. That this idea of being a leader, there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with that. And what do you do to establish credibility? How do you lose credibility? And how do you maintain credibility? Because it's really important. You're only as effective as the credibility you have with the people that you're trying to lead. And so what are they doing to try to do that? And I'll talk a little bit more about credibility as we get along here later, but I want you to be thinking about trying to help your kids establish that. And one of the things that goes into that is the whole idea of respect. And help your kids understand, can they demand respect, or is that something that they have to earn? And I would even ask them, if I were you, can you demand that your teammates respect you? And if they say yes, then you certainly need to talk to them about that. And see, I think they can demand, just like you as a coach can demand respect for the position of leader, like you can demand that your kids look at you when you talk, or we behave a certain way on the bus, or that they behave a certain way in a restaurant. Well, your captains can demand that the athletes line up a certain way in warm-up, or that they behave a certain way, or that they listen when they're talking. But in terms of them respecting their athlete, their leaders as their leader themselves, that's something that you have to earn. And you got to really get your kids to understand that from day one, they've got to be thinking about, what do I need to do to earn their respect this year? And another thing that you need to get your athletes to think about that are the leaders is this whole thing about being liked and being respected, and that whole dynamic and how those things sometimes come in conflict with each other. One of the activities I like to do when I work with teams, and particularly when I'm working with leaders, is I'll ask them, and they have to actually stand up and physically move from one side of the room to the other based on whether they agree, disagree, or they're undecided. But one of the questions, I do that in the corporate world, I do it with coaches as well, is I ask the question, is it important that the people you're leading like you? Is it important that they like you? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Or are you sort of in the middle? And it's really interesting to see where people fall in this whole thing. There are some people that say, yes, it's important. Some people say, nope, absolutely not important. Well, I would get you to think about this. The best leaders that I've ever been around have both things. They have the respect and they have the like. And I'm not saying that like is essential. Notice I didn't say it was essential. I said, is it important? It's not the most important thing, but if it's important to you, if it's important to you that your athletes like you, or the teams that you're trying to lead like you, and that you are a likable person, then they're going to be more likely to go through that wall for you. They're going to be more likely to do what you ask them to do. Knowing that if you have to sacrifice one thing, you're going to sacrifice the respect or the like, which one of those are you going to sacrifice? And obviously, you're going to sacrifice the like part of it. And you got to help your kids understand that they are not going to always be liked by everybody. They can be a likable person, and they should be a likable person. They should take the time to develop relationships with their teammates. But they have to understand that those two things are going to come in direct conflict sometimes. Being respected because you're doing the right thing for the team, and being liked by your teammates are going to come in direct conflict. And that being respected always has to take precedence. And if you don't spend time with your kids on this whole concept, they're going to struggle with this, because I can tell you in my experiences with college and high school athletes, they really struggle with that dynamic. And it's very important to them that they are liked. They might not say it is, but in their actions, it's important to them.